Thank you very much. So I'm going to give you a brief introduction of one of the innovation packages that we will be talking about. So this is, I'm very sorry, this is going to be a presentation again, but I would like to, as already was mentioned by Stanislas, I think this is an important one because this is where we're really going to tell you what these innovations look like. And, we're going to talk about scaling innovations, et cetera, and I think it's going to be much easier to talk about, scalability, et cetera, and strategies to scale if we know what we're talking about, if you have concrete examples in mind of what these innovations look like. So, yeah, please pay attention. So let me quickly go over the background. At least half of you are from the dairy sector, and they know this, that the sector has been a very exciting sector with tremendous growth over the past 15 years, with a large number of with large processors coming in, and also as a result of that, exports have really picked up. So these were two pull factors, but there were also push factors, namely that farmers started adopting new technologies, in particular exotic breeds like Frisian cows, etc., which enabled farmers to also respond to this pull, this demand pull. Right, and so you can see below what the effects were on value. This is really unseen, and it is become one of the primary export products of Uganda these days. And so, even though this value chain has been developing tremendously, we have been looking at this value chain for some time now within our team, and we do find that there are still a few challenges in the value chain. For instance, when we talk to farmers, we notice that farmers are willing, and they say that they were also able to increase the quality of the milk that they produce, their cows produce, but that requires investments, and they would need to, reward it for this quality. They need to be able to pay this investment. On the other hand, when we talk to processors, they said, there are issues with milk quality. If the quality of the milk would be better, this would enable us to produce more, with the same quantity of milk. If, for instance, the butterfat content is higher, we can produce more milk, more cheese, more yogurt, etc., etc. So even though, despite these two observations, we found it was really strange that there is no market for quality. There is no differentiation in pricing for instance, higher quality milk. There's only one uniform price, and there are different consequences and causes of that. For instance, one of the things that we saw is that farmers may be unaware of what is actually meant by quality, what quality processors are looking for. Farmers are often talking, when you discuss quality with them, they're talking about milk sanitation, like making sure there are no foreign materials in the milk. But processors say, well, the milk quality, its sanitation is quite good. What we are looking for is the composition of milk, the compositional quality, like the butter fat, the proteins, etc. Second, one of the problems with the milk value chains is also that milk is poured together at the MCC level, midstream, where the milk is collected into tanks and chilled, right? The start of the cold chain, basically. And that makes it really hard to keep track of quality, right? It's all poured together, and a farmer that produces poor quality and a farmer that produces high quality, you cannot differentiate between these two anymore. Thirdly, the MCC also has to accept the low prices from a processor who may claim that the milk that you bring here is of poor quality, because the MCC has no means, has generally no means to know what the milk quality is of the milk that it supplies. And this creates this vicious circle where farmers are not incentivized to produce high quality milk. They don't get paid for high quality milk. And so as a result of that, producers, they pay low prices because, of course, they receive low quality. They also don't have an incentive to pay higher prices. And so that was one of the key things that we wanted to address with a bundle of innovations that was designed to make this quality visible throughout the value chain. So not only at the gates, at the gate of the processor, at the factory, but throughout the value chain. So these are the partners that we worked with in this project for the innovation design. And actually, I want to also, people have been referring to this as the IFPRI intervention, but this is incorrect. You know, this is an IFPRI CIMIT project, and both centers have been contributing a lot to this and invested a lot to this. But also the DDA, as you will see, has been instrumental in this project at both the innovation design and implementation and even scaling levels. We also learned a lot from the DDA and the SNV, who were actually long before us, experimenting or piloting at a much smaller scale the introduction of, as you will see, one of the key components of this bundle. And then, of course, there are the farmers, the MCCs, and the processors who are also important for implementation and scaling. And of course, also MAIF as a scaling partner. So what are the key attributes? So this is now where it becomes really important and really concrete. So we have an innovation bundle, as Rob already said. You know, it's important because, you know, there are often different problems at the same time which needs to be addressed. So we designed an innovation bundle that consisted of 6 different components. One of the central innovations was the installation of milk analyzers at the milk collection centers. And this allows these milk collection centers to test the milk that is brought into the milk collection center. So each farmer that comes in, you can just take a small sample of the milk and put it in the machine. The machine is pictured there. And within 1 minute, it will tell you what the butterfat content is, what the protein content is, whether water was added or not, etc., etc. A second component that was added to these milk collections, to these milk analyzers, were tablet computers, which were preloaded with a custom application that was designed to keep track of all milk transactions at the MCC level. So the farmers were registered in this app, and so we on this app we copied data from the tests, right? So for instance, the butterfat content, etc., but also the prices that they received for the milk and the quantities delivered. So this is something that already was mentioned also before, the need to have an ICT-based system to keep track of quality, because before that, you know, people were just using using notebooks, books, and of course, it's much harder than to keep track of all this. A third intervention was a poster that we used to sensitize farmers that the MCC has the capacity to test milk. This was actually done because we didn't want to just empower MCCs with this technology. We also wanted that farmers can actually request MCCs to test their milk if there were any discussions about the quality of the milk. When maybe an MCC says, yeah, I'm just going to pay you this, or I'm going to reject because your milk is not good. But if the farmer knows that he's producing good milk, he can say, yeah, but I see you have the machine here. I know it's free. That's what we said on the poster as well. Please test my milk. And then there was also a personalized video extension on the ways to improve composition and quality of milk that was shown to all the farmers that were part of this study. Because of course, you know, if you promote something, you also need to make sure that people know how to affect what you want to promote, so butterfat, SNF. So this is mostly about the choice of the correct breed, feed supplement, etc., etc. And so a little bit related to this video extension, we also gave them a bag of like a demo, a seed trial pack, so to speak, of seed for pasture improvement, for oversowing. And then finally, and this was more geared towards policymakers, we also developed a portal that aggregates all the information that we collect through these tablet computers. So obviously these tablet computers, it was backed up in the cloud. So all this data is backed up in the cloud. And so we developed a portal where, anonymized obviously, where people who want to see particular stuff, like for instance, how prices have evolved over time, or of all the MCCs, which MCCs, I mean, what is the variation in, for instance, the average butterfat content of the MCCs, like which MCCs have like butterfat content of more than, I don't know, 4%, which score more around 3.5. So that was also one of the interventions that we had as part of this innovation bundle. So the intervention process, we started in August 2022, where we did the scoping. And for that, we visited Makerere, but as I also said, you know, we learned a lot of from SNV at that time. We visited them. And in September 22, we designed our intervention bundles. You know, we developed the app. We contracted people to develop the app, etc., etc. Baseline data was collected in December 2022. In September 2023, partnerships were built. And finally, in October 2023, we implemented the innovation. We were a little bit late because the milk analyzers needed to be imported from India, which is something that Richard will talk about later. In March 2024, we did monitoring, and we went back to talk to some of the MCCs and other stakeholders to do a qualitative midline. And now we are here in the scaling preparedness workshop. And in December 2024, we will do an endline evaluation. So we will really see whether, you know, this innovation bundle has led to changes for farmers. Like, for instance, do they now get better prices? Also at the milk collection center level, do they get higher milk? Are they able to negotiate better prices or search for markets or traders that pay more for quality milk, etc., etc. So that's what we will be looking at in December 2023. So before I hand it over to my colleague, I would like to again maybe do it slightly different. As I know Stanislav said that we should wait with your questions, but since this was really important, if there are any technical questions about how we did some of these things, I would like you to ask them now, and then I will just clarify anything now and then. If not, we can just proceed, of course.
Thank you. I want to understand, for the analyzer and the tablet computer, were the cooperatives purchasing them, or it was given to them?
We have given them to them at the moment, you know, without any cost sharing or whatever. But yeah, during the midline, we ask questions whether, you know, it would make sense for them to buy these machines. And yeah, also given other projects that are using price differentiation for higher price, we also did some simple calculations, and we found that it is very profitable actually for your MCC to buy a machine like that. If a machine like that, you know, increases the price of your milk by just a little bit, you know, you can pay this machine back under some very mild conditions. Like, for instance, every farmer cooperative member gives like 10% of the extra money that he makes. You can pay back the machine in 6 months or something like that. But for the innovation, for the trial that we did here, we gave the tablets and the machines to them for free.
My question is on that innovation on providing of demo plots for pasture improvement. I'm wondering whether it was only chloris that was provided or even other varieties. And if it was chloris only, what informed that decision of giving chloris only? Then two, about the portal that you have mentioned, the cloud portal. Was it accessible only by the MCCs, or it is still accessible up to now? Thank you.
Okay. The demo seed, so it was not a plot, it was seed, right? A seed bag. It was, I don't know, maybe Wilberforce has a better answer to that. The reason why it was chosen and in what quantity. So maybe you should talk to Wilberforce, or Wilberforce can answer that. But the other question, so there are actually a few portals. So we developed two portals. Let's say one portal was developed for the general public, not only policymakers. Actually, you know, if you would like, you could go and consult it. It's all anonymized, but also at the level of the milk collection centers, we developed an online portal. Let's call it a portal, where the milk collection manager could also follow what was going on in his milk collection center. So a manager or a milk collection owner, or you know, they could also use this to look at reports like over time in my milk collection center has quality gone up, have people been supplying milk with more water in it, etc., etc. So there were actually two products that were developed. One that was really meant to be used by I don't know, the milk collection center owners, and one that was more geared towards policymakers to look at broad trends, like over time, how you see, for instance, you know, when the seasons change and it becomes the dry season, you will see that, for instance, butterfat goes down, etc. So that was the idea of this portal.
Excuse me. I would request that we go back.
Back. Okay.
Yeah, that one. We see that the aim of the innovation is to test a bundle of innovation designed to make quality visible throughout the value chain. And I think the word throughout is very, very important there.
Yes.
And then maybe previous slide also. Back. I think it was the first one. No, there was a slide which was highlighting the challenges.
But that will still come. That's for my colleague to discuss. So you can ask that question after that one, okay?
Okay, because we're emphasizing throughout the value chain.
Yeah. So
I don't know whether you deliberately decided to focus at the MCC.
Yeah.
But I see the farm level not coming under the scope, and yet quality issues. Some of the quality issues begin at the farm.
Yes, that's a very good point. But the thing is, you know, you put your milk analyzer at a milk collection center, right? The farmers will bring their milk to the milk collection centers, and each farmer is tested separately. So you're actually also measuring milk at the farm level in this way. Of course, and you know, when we did that, it's not always working, because sometimes, you know, a farmer will sell milk to a trader who then brings the milk to the milk collection center, and maybe the trader, you know, starts skimming the milk or whatever. And so then if you measure the quality at the milk collection center, when the milk comes in, you're actually not measuring the quality at the farm level anymore, but the quality at the trader level. So, you know, then we had discussions about we should also install these machines at the trader level. And even, yeah, I mean, ideally, it would also be that we could measure it at the farm level. But I would say, if you install it at a milk collection center level, you can also measure the quality at the farmer level, especially if, together with this poster, if you empower a farmer to ask to be tested. And that's also something that we saw. We saw sometimes that a farmer would go to a milk collection center that, I don't know, or to a trader who did not have this machine. And he said, I will only give you so much because it's bad milk. And then the farmer says, but I know the milk collection center in this trading center, he has a machine. I'm going to go there and test, so that this farmer now knows this is my quality, and then goes back to the trader and say, no, you want to cheat me, I mean, so in a way, I think you're right, but also the reasoning was that if you measure individual samples coming in, you can also say something about the farmers. And remember, these farmers are also, in theory, they are also registered in this app. So you can basically go back, trace back the quality up to the farmer through this system, through this combination of milk analyzers and tablet computers.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the support in the sector. Mine is still on milk analyzers. Thank you for that support. I was wondering that whether you thought about the operation and maintenance of these milk analyzers in terms of support to technicians.
Yes, again, a question that I will defer. Let's keep it now on explaining maybe some of these things, because my colleagues will talk about the challenges, and that's one of the challenges. It's one of the issues, right? And it's one of the questions that we will need to answer to be able to scale this, right? And that's why we are here, really.
Okay, so I think we'll take 3, and then we'll allow the presentation to be complete.
I'm sorry, I didn't think it would go like this.
So I think we'll take some 2, 3, and then we'll allow the colleague to finish the presentation. I think some questions could be answered by the next.
Yes,
half the presentation done. So maybe we take 2, and then you'll finish, and then we'll take the others. Is that okay? Please go ahead.
All right. I'm just wondering, for purposes of record keeping and transparency, did you think about feedback sharing mechanisms for the individual farmers, that is from the test results of their milk?
Yes, we added when they submit, when you register the farmer and you submit your data, there was a last button that says, do you want to send this as an SMS, this information as an SMS to the farmer's phone? A bit like, a receipt, okay? I don't know if it always worked. Maybe in the future, or a better way would be to have these small printers. You can have these micro printers which are pretty cheap apparently. And then so every time someone submits, you just print a receipt and you give that to a farmer. But that's an interesting and important question, something that we have been thinking about. I mean, for now we implemented it with this SMS thing, but some farmers don't have phones, and et cetera. So it didn't always work as we wanted.
Thank you very much. When I look at the innovations, they focus more on the composition parameters of the raw milk, because the milk analyzers will be able to tell you the butterfat, the protein, the lactose, all those things.
Yeah.
But at that particular point, we are not considering the safety issues, because the buyer is not only looking at the composition of this milk, he is looking at the bacterial load or the hygiene of the milk. He's looking at absence of antibiotic residues in the product, because all these are the factory price. I mean, at the factory entry will have to be tested, because the farmer could be able to meet the composition requirement, but if they do not pay attention right from the farm, like my colleague alluded, then it would affect the progress of this project. Because remember, we are not trading amongst ourselves, we are trading beyond Africa, we are trading in Europe, and I think we need to rethink Because if it is not safe, it is not food. So how do we make it wholesome right from the farm to the point of the milk collection center?
Yeah, another very good question, extremely good question. So this is like a pilot that is looking at compositional quality. We had discussions during the scoping phase also about, you know, the issues that you're talking about, antibiotic, what is it? But yeah, people said, you know, I mean, we had to make decisions. Sometimes this is hard to test, etc. But we also had discussions already with the DDA, and they said, you know, this is also an important project because of the proof of concept, you know, that it's actually possible to set up such a system, you know, that combines analyzers or testing equipment more broadly with this ICT-based tracking system. So they said, you know, in the future, maybe this same framework or the same idea can be used to also test for the kind of things that you're talking about. And indeed, you know, going further on that, this can actually also help the subsector to reach new markets, because as you say, you know, the European market, for instance, they want milk to be traced all the way to the farmer, and they would like to have specific on specific parameters. So if we can add these parameters at specific points in this value chain, that would be a really important thing to do. But yeah, that was something that was going beyond the study, but it is something that is definitely also going to be an important subject that we can talk about over the next few days when we try to scale this up, not only for compositional quality, but even for other things. We had to stop now, I'm sorry.
Okay. As Richard comes in, we will allow director a submission or an addition as Richard prepares.
Okay.
Please, and for the submissions, we have been requested if you could stand up for the visual. The camera people are unable to get you. So if you can, they have requested.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry I came in late. Thank you for the good presentation and thank you for that support. We really appreciate. But mine was to make a clarification to members. I think this was additional innovation. We all know that farmers are being paid based on volumes, and at the end, they don't get the returns on their efforts. So this marks light in the tunnel. If it is successfully implemented, the farmer then can be paid for the additional efforts. This does not mean that the MCCs were not testing for freshness, for residues, and for contaminants. Thank you very much.
Yes, that's important.
Okay, thank you. And then also, just to add on the issue of safety, yeah, we had discussions on it, but also it had cost implications, and this, we had some budgetary constraints. But also, we thought in the discussions that at a higher level, which is largely at the processor level, they can also be in position to measure for issues related to safety, since they are the major people who sell to the external buyers. So I would like to continue. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little more about what is emerging from the intervention. And following the implementation, the few changes that we noticed that were kind of immediate include the creation of kind of transparency. Because following the discussions we had, there are particular MCCs that had reputational issues. Some buyers, especially the processors, were not interested in buying milk from particular milk collection centers. But following the introduction of the milk analyzers, some of the MCCs were actually able to improve on their reputation. And then the number of the level of milk adulteration on the number of, in the particular MCCs where we installed the milk analyzers, that number fell drastically. Although it had an indirect effect on those particular MCCs which were treatment MCCs, whereby the quantity of milk supplied to those particular MCCs kind of dropped. So in this particular study, maybe my colleague forgot to mention, we kind of clustered the MCCs. So we were aware of the fact that if 2 or 3 MCCs are located in a particular trading center or area, it was important to give all the MCCs within that particular area, such that if a farmer brings milk and it is rejected from a treatment MCC, he has nowhere to escape. So over time, during the midline, we noticed that the managers reported to us that those particular farmers who were adding water in the milk, they tried to run away, but since the other milk collection centers where they could run after, still they improved the quality of milk and came back to supply to that particular cluster. And then for our controls, they are also in different villages. And if in that particular area, if it is under the control, if there are 2 or 3 MCCs, all didn't receive what? The milk analyzer. Then following those immediate changes, we saw a few outcomes. One, the reduction in milk rejections. This was reported by, because before we intervened, MCCs reported to us, of course, based on the platform tests, because most of them do the freshness and then also they do the alcohol test. So based on those platform tests, they will do reject the milk. But following the intervention, the number of rejections actually reduced. And then obviously, since they were chasing away milk which was of poor quality, there was improvement in the quality of milk that is collected in those treatment MCCs. And then those particular MCCs where we had that had issues but fell under our treatment clusters, they were also able to improve on their reputation. And then, importantly, one of the things that we've been missing in the dairy value chain is the data to at least show us what is happening in the value chain. So for now, we have some data which can show some historical perspectives on the various parameters related to milk quality. Then following our midline study that was in March this year, we have some anecdotal evidence that is indicating some good aspects coming out, especially related to milk quality in the treatment MCCs. And then also we see the issue of price. Remember, this particular intervention or innovation is looking at impacts at two aspect outcome impact areas. That is a price for the returns to farmers or the milk collection centers, and then also we are looking at the quality. Those are the main thing I think we shall be measuring at the end line. So, but so far, the impact on quality is indicating some good results, but the impact on price is still really mixed. There are few MCCs that are trying to look for new markets that offer price of pay for the quality, but a majority, it's still a bit hard to switch markets because the buyers, most of the buyers don't pay based on quality. Then also many MCCs are not using the data to actually as an empowerment tool to argue for better prices. So during the implementation of this particular intervention, these are the key challenges that we noticed. One, Major one was related to the breakdown of the machines. I think my colleague Wilbur will eventually shed some light on how many, but they were not really significant. And for those that broke down, it was largely because of the maintenance issues. Some of the milk collection center managers not actually following the manufacturer's guide on how to clean the machines. So those machines would break down, and being the project managers, we took on the cost of repairing, and then DDA was responsible for the calibration of the machines. So DDA calibrates, and then we take back the machines. And then there's a difficulty in securing spare parts. We've just obtained, we don't have a local supplier of the machines or a local dealer to help in the repairs. But yeah, so that was one of the challenge. And then also we have a low response from the buyers of the milk. And this particular study site area we are focusing on is where the biggest formal market is based. So we have around eight processors. Dennis, you correct me. So most of the milk that is exported actually comes from the area where we intervene. But now those buyers, not all of them are responding to what we want. But we hope in future they will all follow suit. And then also there was the element of conflicting results. So the MCC, when a buyer comes to pick the milk, they measure. And then when they take to the factory, they also measure. So you find the results at the MCC level could differ from the ones at the factory. But this is something that happened only, I think, twice. At DDA will correct me. So, and then also we of course, DDA was the arbiter, and I think they will shed more light on actually how they try to solve that issue. So since we are exiting and the initiative is ending, these are the few things we think we really need to see how we handle them post the initiative period. The issue of calibration, of course, the partnership involved DDA, and DDA is the one that has been helping us to calibrate. So our hope is that after we exit, DDA continues to at least calibrate the machines, because after some time, they move out of range, and yet we need accurate results. And then the regular maintenance of what? The machines. So one of the solutions we think is if the MCCs can enter partnerships with the processors and see how they cost share, such that we keep this quality and also realize the true impact that we are yearning for. Some of the lessons we learned, adoption challenges, basically because this is something we are not piloting, but we were trying to do at a larger scale. So we're also looking at what are the challenges to adoption of these particular innovations. But we realize that if we do proper training, the adoption challenge actually can be alleviated, and many MCCs actually are willing to adopt the technologies. And then the other challenge, which I might highlight, is there was some resistance in the MCCs using the app, because I think some of them maybe thought we would publicize data on their revenues or on the quality of that particular MCC, and perhaps they could be sanctioned, of which it is not the case. All this data is private and confidential. No other person can actually get access to data of a particular MCC unless it is an MCC itself. So eventually, when we did the training with the farmer leaders, there was some improvement in the MCCs submitting data on their records to the server. Then quality is actually improving reputation, dispute resolution, which I've already highlighted. Yeah, but the key thing is for us to realize the full impact of this innovation, we actually need engagement of all stakeholders. This is a photo of one of the staff who was helping us to do the calibrations. Thank you so much for listening.